A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. This is Medidoc Health Show and we are glad you've joined us. My name is Veronica Ndoria. Today we are going to be talking about lifestyle because we have learned that some diseases are caused by our lifestyle, and we're going to be talking about and diving deeper into that. But before we begin, I want to introduce our nutritionist, Dr. Karibu Sana. Thank you for coming through. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Kariuki Joseph, a nutritionist. Today we shall be talking about lifestyle diseases and the things that we can do, that we can change, and actually change the rising prevalence of these diseases. So welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us in our studios. All right, now we want to start off with you telling us what are the lifestyle diseases.
Well, basically lifestyle diseases, it's a group of diseases associated with the things we do every day. It can affect a person or a group of people.
Right.
So actually, these diseases, we encounter them day in, day out, and they're actually becoming a very big burden to our health cost. Yeah.
Right. What are those lifestyle that we live in that are causing diseases?
When you talk of lifestyle, these are behaviors, the things that we do, our culture, the foods that we eat. And these things, they are things that we can actually avoid. They are things we can be able to modify.
Right.
And they are those things that we will not be able to modify. But I would like us to look at those things that we can actually modify because they're actually taking the bigger chunk and contributing to these diseases.
Right. And you've mentioned that there are those that we can control and those we cannot control. Maybe you can mention some of the few that we can control, some of the lifestyles that we can change, rather.
Well, some of these behaviors, I think our viewers, they are actually aware that things like smoking.
Right.
Smoking predisposes us to so many diseases, from the breathing issues to cancer issues. You know, basically, when you smoke, the tobacco contains tar, nicotine, things that are very harmful to our health.
Right.
And smoking, where there are those who claim that they are addicted, but they can get help.
Right.
So that is a modifiable risk factor that we can actually be able to change.
Absolutely.
Alcohol taking, excessive alcohol intake is harmful to our health. That is a very common phrase. But we actually, especially young people, nowadays they believe that the way to go is taking a lot of alcohol.
Right.
Not knowing the risk they are
Putting
into.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and those things that people do at this young age, by the time they get to their 50s, that's when they start getting the impact. Yeah. Then the other thing is the food that we eat.
Right.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's chips and chicken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, those fast foods, doing beverages, I won't mention them, but they are really putting us into the risk. And actually, some of these modifiable risk factors, the effects, they won't come immediately.
Right.
Slowly, but eventually they'll catch up with us.
Wow, and that's why you said when you are at your old age, 50s, that's when the impact is big, and you have now to go see a doctor. Maybe the few that are uncontrollable.
Well, there are those factors that we actually cannot control. One is age. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So when you're young, you are energetic, your immunity is super. So you may not be able to feel some of those side effects.
Right.
But as you age, your organs also age. So some of these mistakes that you did maybe when you're young, as you get old, your body will not be able to fight. Then as you get old, some organs like the pancreas, that does the production of insulin, it also, it is also aging. So it becomes overwhelmed. So at some point, you may not be able to control aging.
Right.
Yeah, though there are those people who are of the thought that we have anti-aging agents.
That's true. Do they work really?
I think a lot of research needs to be done So I will not comment on that.
Okay.
But I think aging is a natural process.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the other thing is heredity. Heredity is it's a genetic predisposition.
Right.
So that's why you are like this family. If the grandmother or the grandfather had diabetes, you find the son or the uncle. No. So there is that lineage. So genetic predisposition, there is nothing much we can do to modify that.
That's true.
Yeah. But we can actually get a healthy lifestyle to delay some of these genetical diseases that come.
Oh, there is.
Yes. So
Wow.
if you eat well, and maybe your family is, your mom, your dad, and you're sure they had diabetes,
Right.
you might delay diabetes catching up with you.
Right.
But if you just careless, as early as 30, you might find yourself in that situation.
Wow.
Yeah. The other one is ethnic, or from where you come from. For instance, we have the Caucasians, we have the Germans, we have the Africans, we have the Black Americans. Each group is predisposed to a particular kind of a condition.
Right.
Yeah. That's why you find that the Indian community, the prevalence of diabetes there is not the same like us Africans here. Yeah. If you go to China, the diseases they get, they are not the same. Yeah. Okay. So that heredity again.
And wouldn't you say that is because of the food that we eat? Because we eat a totally different meal with the Chinese.
Sure. For instance, when we talk of people coming from a particular region, well, their lifestyle is actually very different.
Very.
And that makes them predisposed to particular conditions that we are not.
Right.
Okay? Then still, their genetical makeup, it's not the same.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like for instance, there is this enzyme known as alcohol dehydrogenase. It is responsible for metabolizing alcohol. People from Asia, they are actually, they lack that enzyme, or if they have it, it's very little. As compared to we Africans, Germans, Black Americans, and Americans.
Because of the melanin?
No. Alcohol dehydrogenase is responsible for alcohol metabolism. So you'll find that if you look at alcohol content that is sold in Africa, it's very high. The one sold in Germany and America is very high. But the one sold in Asia, it's extremely low. Yeah. So there are those enzymes that our body, have, and those others lack.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we have mentioned, people don't know what are these diseases that we're talking about, and they are very chronic diseases. Now, Dr. maybe you tell us some of these lifestyle diseases that we are affected with.
Well, I'll start with CVDs. CVD is cardiovascular diseases. So, these are diseases that arise after we have destroyed our arteries, and again, we have put a lot of pressure on our heart. Okay? And so CVD is actually, it comes as a result of some other diseases. Okay? So, and actually research has shown that in USA, it is the leading cause of death. Okay? So, let me, if I were to jog your mind, sometime back, we used to say that a disease like cancer, diabetes, they won't catch up with us Africans.
That's true.
But now we are faced with harsh reality. So now the cardiovascular diseases, the first world countries, it's giving them headache. We still have a room for us not to get there. But if we don't put our acts together, we shall definitely be going there.
And maybe you'd mention what is one lifestyle that is causing cardiovascular disease?
Basically, I would like to tie these diseases with 4 modifiable risk factors. One is obesity. What causes obesity? The things you've said, every time chicken chips, nyama choma, we just eat junk, we don't care. Then you tell someone, I don't think whatever you're doing is not right.
That's true.
They are like, oh, it's my money. Well, cool, it's your money.
That's true.
Yeah. Then smoking, okay.
Right.
Alcohol intake, okay. Then we've talked of dietary intake. Leave alone, so obesity, so you see they are all tied together.
Right.
So then physical activity. Nowadays people, you leave your house, you get into a car, to the office.
You don't walk.
You don't walk. Nowadays I've seen a new trend where food is brought in the office.
Right. And you're using the lift.
Yes.
You don't even use the staircase.
Yeah, you don't use it. Yeah.
Right.
So then you take your car, either you go at the usual joint or you go home. So basically minimum physical activity.
Right.
So as much as you want to fight obesity, it is not possible because you're not exercising, you're not working, and when you go home, you have the house help, such kind of things.
That's true.
Yeah. And that's why, because some years back, it was very unlikely to see a young person having some of the CVDs, the cardiovascular diseases. But the prevalence is very high. High school kids are suffering from, so it is quite a concern.
Right. All right. Which other disease is caused by the lifestyle, either controllable lifestyle or uncontrollable lifestyle?
Then you have hypertension. Hypertension is it's a very common disease. And it's a disease that most people actually die undiagnosed because it's not painful.
That's true.
Yeah, so actually it only come to be noticed when you actually go to a hospital because of other problems. Then it's like, oh, you have hypertension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the same causes of CVD. They are actually the same causes of hypertension. Okay. So, but hypertension basically, we have the blood vessels, the arteries. An artery is like a pipe. Okay. So blood should be flowing freely.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we have materials depositing themselves on the inner side of the artery, especially the cholesterol, okay, it puts a lot of pressure on that artery because the space has been reduced. So the pressure increases.
All right.
So when that pressure increases, it puts again pressure on the heart.
Okay. All right. Now, we have learned about 2 diseases that are caused by lifestyle, but we're going to be learning about more diseases caused by lifestyle because we need to change the lifestyle we are living, less of exercising and eating a lot of carbs and also taking a lot of alcohol and things that are harmful into our bodies. We're going to be talking about more on that in just a bit.